listening to Founder on Founder. My name is Kenji Tan, and today I'm here in the studio with my big boss, leader of founders himself, the director of entrepreneurship, Mr. David Burt. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Kenji. Great to be here.
It's so awesome to have you with me. And just before we get started, let me just explore a little bit more about you and why do you choose founders to begin with? So, many years ago, I was just looking through your LinkedIn. You started as a business developer. You were actually an accountant, a tax accountant. So what led you from that to where you are today?
Yeah, I was really interested in business coming out of high school, but I didn't know a specific idea I wanted to build. And so I got some advice that, if you wanted to work in France, learn French. If you want to work in business, learn business. And the language of business is accounting. And so I studied accounting, worked as an accountant in a couple of different places, including KPMG, which is a fantastic start to my career, really helped me learn the basics of business. I also learned I didn't particularly enjoy being the accountant. So great skill set to have, great place to start the career. And through that experience, I got to work with a lot of business owners, a lot of founders. And then I subsequently worked at the CSIRO, which is Australia's national science agency. And there I got to work with a lot of highly technical people who were inventing the new technologies. And through that, I kind of fused the two, that founder energy of taking responsibility for building a new business with that technical leadership and expertise that can create a product that's first to world or different enough to sort of give birth to a new company. And so together with those things, it's just a really enjoyable community of people to work with that are taking responsibility for bringing new products into the world. And in my work at UNSW, this is a philanthropically funded team to help people start and grow new companies. So there's a lot to unpack for that. And for most people I talk with, that's the first time that the word philanthropy and the word entrepreneurship is used in the same sentence.
It's kind of ironic because usually when you think of entrepreneurship, most people think it's profit making. The first thing they think about is money. But apart from that, I just want to go back to your point on leadership. When people think about startups, you think about you have to be a very big leader. You have to have the strength, the bravery to start something new, push this product out, get a team of people to help you. Would you say that if someone is not so keen on the leadership aspect, let's say you want to be behind the limelight, is there any specific trait to a founder? Is there a founder energy, so-called?
So I think the first thing to emphasize is great business founders can come from anywhere. And not everyone is ready and able to be a founder. And that is a point in time question as well. So I think there's a lot of opinions out there about whether you can be sort of born as a founder or trained. In my experience, I have been wrong so many times about whether someone does or does not have what it takes. I just assume that they do. And one of the things I do in my work is see people as bigger than they see themselves. And so I don't think there's any particular personality or background. That being said, I absolutely believe there is such a thing as founder energy. And part of that is it's a non-negotiable requirement when you're trying to breathe life into something new. You are starting from zero, you have no momentum, and the founder or co-founders have to show up every day and put an extraordinary amount of positive energy into that endeavor, that system. So it does take a lot of energy. Founder energy is a thing. It is required. But often that comes from a deep sense of intrinsic motivation. Money is important. And being successful and making money go hand in hand. But I meet a lot of people who sort of want to be founders, but if their reason is, I want to get rich, do something else. There are easier, less risky ways to make, on average, good money. The pathway of being a founder can lead to that, but the real benefit of being a founder is you get to take real ownership, real responsibility for bringing a new vision into existence. So yes, founder energy is a real thing, but I would encourage people to not pay too much attention, in fact, zero attention to anyone else's opinion about what a good founder looks like.
That's very inspiring. Definitely something to think about. So for a student, let's say an aspiring entrepreneur in UNSW, and they want to join UNSW founders, they got founder energy, they got the product in mind, they have a roadmap for the next few years. Do you see any trend towards the founders or the startups that have started in your time being the director here till today?
So I've been the director of entrepreneurship at UNSW for about 4 years. Every year we have about 10,000 people through the program. A lot of university students, but also a lot of alumni, a lot of scientists that are exploring how to commercialize their research. And so what we see is we see a lot of people hesitate to show up. So I think the first important thing is just show up, come to an event, come to a program, get involved. And that's the first step on a very long journey. And so I think that's what we'd encourage people to do is just show up and then keep showing up. And, when I kind of look across the people that have been successful, showing up every day is half the battle. And that's why in when we're talking about the founder level of energy required, it's hard to show up sometimes. But I think the thing that I've learned here over the last 4 years is those people that are able to keep showing up are able to bring a pretty pathological level of optimism are the people that will go the distance. At the end of the day, the market gets to decide. I know lots of people who had a great idea. They had a great evidence for why now was the time to start a company. And then they failed because the market wasn't ready to buy. And maybe in a few years' time it will. You can never know the answer to that beforehand.
So in terms of challenges, right? Let's say we ignore who's the founder that's actually starting the startup. They come to founders, they want to apply. What would you say are one of the bigger challenges that people might face when they try to attempt their own startup?
There's two main challenges we see time and time again. The first is they take no actions. They kind of build a castle in their imagination, but they never actually pick up a brick. And so the first big category of mistake is to sort of imagine the future but never do anything about it. You need to imagine the future. That's part of the process. But if you're just building a palace or a mansion in your head and you never actually take that next step to build something, that's a huge mistake. The second mistake is people start building too much too soon without feedback. So it's like the opposite or the other side of that coin. If you build it, they will not come. And so you need to have a hyper amount of curiosity around building something that people want to buy. And what's surprising about the work we get to do at Founders is despite the extraordinary amount of content and stories that are out there about both of these problems, people still keep making these mistakes. I think it's just very human. And so part of the value proposition of the Founders team, we have this philanthropic support process to help people avoid those big mistakes. Because while every different startup company is its own unique puzzle to be solved, and there's no playbook, there's no, hey, read this is how you build your business. Every startup has so much uniqueness to it about what you need to do for things to go well. A lot of the things that you need to not do to avoid things going wrong, they are consistent across companies. There are some categories. And so that's where having that philanthropic team that's just there to help you. We don't want equity. We don't want to charge you money is super powerful. And it's a really big advantage that UNSW people have over other universities.
So in UNSW, we're actually known as the most entrepreneurial university in Australia. And with founders being a part of this role, could you maybe share with me some numbers or anything that you have in the top of your mind? Like, let's say, what's your most successful, let's say, startup process? Like maybe do you guys have the least turnover rate, or do you have the most successful number of companies coming out of founders? What makes UNSW founders so special?
So in terms of the numbers, I'll go to them in a moment. I think the culture of what makes us special is the University of New South Wales started life as a training college for engineers. It didn't start life as a university. We've grown into a very comprehensive research-intensive university, but we started out because the New South Wales state government, in the aftermath of World War II, realized we need more engineers. We don't have enough engineers. They helped create UNSW so that our society had the people and the skills who could build and take our economy from agriculture to industry, from the field to machines. And so over time, we've even though we've become a very scientifically intensive research university, it's that culture of build things. It's not just about ideas. You got to put the ideas into practice. And so it's that culture that pays the dividend, which means we are the most entrepreneurial university in Australia. Yes, the Founders Program is a key part of that, but the Founders Program has only really existed since 2017. But when you kind of look back through the alumni of the university, what do the numbers say? The numbers say that UNSW people form companies at a much higher rate per capita than other universities. So even once we adjust for the size of university, you see this 2 or 3 or 4 times the rate of company formation. Then when you look at the percentage of those companies that raise capital from investors, again, more of those companies raise money, and on average, they raise more. And so it's hard sometimes to have very definite metrics for what success looks like, but you're going to have to start. So, USW people start more companies. Maybe you have to raise capital, and then we can look at exits or acquisitions. And so on those numbers, again, UNSW has the most sort of value created by startup companies by alumni.
Before we wrap things up, could I just have a quick overview of what programs you guys are currently running in Founders in 2024?
Absolutely. So everything we do in the Founders Program, everything that we offer, maps to the 3 main stages that a person will go through on that startup journey. We call those stages curiosity, idea, and startup. So in 2024, in that curiosity area, a lot of workshops and programs and events. So that could look something like a pitch coaching workshop, or come along to our microcrouch innovation makerspace, learn how to make something. So think of that of just a few hours of someone's time. The best way is just come and visit us on campus and talk to us, and we can sort of enroll you in those programs. They're all free. Again, this is philanthropically funded. We also have a weekly newsletter where people can sign up via that or our website. So a lot of what we do, we'll run hundreds of workshops and events each year in that space. So I think the main message there is just come along. Even if you don't think startups is for you, you'll build some new skills, you'll meet some friends. Like, I think when I speak with students, a lot of them are actually quite lonely. They're struggling to make friends on campus. Come along to our programs, meet some people, make some friends. That's the first stage. The second stage is coming up with an idea, and is my idea any good? And so that's where we do a lot of one-to-one mentoring and coaching, and we run pitch competitions like the Peter Farrell Cup. I'd really encourage people to apply to the Peter Farrell Cup. It's an idea competition. You don't need to have a business. You can come up with your idea and apply on the same day. It's really for idea stage things. There's sort of tens of thousands of dollars in cash prizes up for grabs. So that's that Peter Farrell Cup is a really important program. And then in the startup stage, if you think you are ready to actually start the company, or you've recently started a company, then come along. We have our Coach and Connect service that can give you bespoke mentoring and support. We also have our 10X Accelerator program, which comes with investment as well. And there's a lot of post-program support that comes from that. And we also run a kind of a global bridge program as well, which is if you're targeting a customer in a particular overseas market, we have some funding available to support that as well.
So you're saying, like, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, come down to the MCIC Microcrouch Innovation Center, Hilmer Building, quick shout out to actually ask for this help and support. Let's say, just one last question before we end off today. If they can't come down in person, is it as simple as going down to the UNSW Founders website to sign up?
Absolutely. So the best program to apply for, if you're not quite sure, if you just want to talk to someone from the team, like the great thing about the Founders team at UNSW, there's about 25 of us. We're all here to support people who are interested in or actually building a startup. So yes, the lowest friction way is go to the website, you just search for UNSW Founders, it'll come up, and then sign up for our Coach and Connect program, book in a session, and someone from the team will have a one-to-one conversation with you.
Thanks so much for your time, David. I hope to have you more in the studio with us to share more and maybe, find out more about other founders on Founders. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you again next time.
Thanks, Kenji.